What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? What's going on? What's going on? All right. Ooh. Baby, y'all know I'm about to get out of here. I told y'all I was going to church today. My mama called. You know, when my mama say, I want you to come to church, then I know I go. So my mama done said, I want you to come to church. So I'm on my way. But I figured I could slide the Braxtons in before I walk out the door because I'm literally, as long as I'm out the door by 10 o'clock. Long as I'm out the door by 10 o'clock. Okay. And I don't think it should take long. I watched the episode last night, and I don't really think it's going to take that long unless we get off on one of our little tangents over here. But let's get into it. Listen, first of all, what I'm going to say is, I know some people were saying, oh, this episode was boring. It was this. I am not going to say boring. I think after the first 5 weeks of this show or 4 weeks of this show, I think we needed this episode. I think we needed an episode that was not going to go all over the blogs, that wasn't going to be clipped up and dissected and super duper duper ooper duper duper analyzed all the way down to the ground, right? I just think we deserve that. But I did see a clip. Hold on. Now I'm not going to be able to find it.
Hi, everybody.
Hold on. I did see a clip. Carlos King, and I know, you know, but Carlos King had a panel about the Braxtons, and there was a really good clip that came from it. I think this is it right here. He had a woman on there by the name of Blue. And I think, hold on, let me make sure this is the right clip.
Because she's trying to offset the obvious pain that Tawanda has about.
This is a really good clip, and I think this summarizes what a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but what a lot of people have been feeling. I didn't watch the whole episode, so I don't know who this Blue woman is. She sounds like she may be some sort of a therapist or something. I'm not sure, but I want y'all to hear what she had to say.
When Evelyn's talking to Tawanda, the first thing she says is, "Hey, beautiful."
Let me tell you.
Have you noticed that in every single scene when Evelyn's talking to Tawanda, the first thing she says is, "Hey, beautiful. Hey, pretty girl. Hey, gorgeous." Because she's trying to offset the obvious pain that Tawanda has about how she's perceived in the hierarchy of her sisters.
Wow.
And so there's a certain level of pandering the family does to Tawanda. And there's a certain level of manipulation that Tawanda does on behalf of the family that I'm ready to call BS on. Because Tamar is not perfect. And you can be imperfect and be an imperfect victim. Tamar is an unsympathetic, imperfect victim. And I think that
I love that term. You can be an imperfect victim. We deal with that a lot sometimes when we talk about sexual assault cases, right? Where people might want to bring up the fact, well, she was a gold digger, or she was only around him because he had money, but she was a prostitute, or we know it could be he as well. And I think that a lot of times we get so caught up in that part of it that we forget that you can be a imperfect person and still be a victim. And I love that she said that. I'm gonna let y'all finish.
The family has a long documented history of being annoyed that she is the one who's always whistleblowing on things that they've agreed to toxically keep to themselves. And the reason that she's defending Ashley so much is because she's seeing it happen to Ashley. She's seeing it happen to Ashley, and I think that's why. And for those who are like, well, it's self-serving. First of all, nobody does anything that they don't get anything from. Being good at being strategic doesn't mean you're insincere.
And again, I was so glad she brought that point up, because I said on that first episode that I felt like what Tamar was doing was coming from a good place. And a lot of people were like, no, she only did it because of the cameras. No, she was only exploiting Ashley's story. No. And I felt like, was she being strategic? Yes. But was it coming from a real place? Because I said this to you guys because I believe Tamar was victimized. Her behavior tells me that she was victimized, right? And I feel like she was like, I'm going to give Ashley the voice that nobody gave me. Y'all can go back to my first review, and I said that from episode 1. And I love that she said that because, again, I think we negate one because of the other. And just because Tamar was strategic in how she was going to tell Ashley's story and when, so that it would get the maximum amount of exposure, doesn't mean she was insincere in trying to help her. That's my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna let it finish.
Show right now. the show is being produced. It doesn't mean we're going to lie, right? So production being involved doesn't make it insincere. I think the reason why she was so passionate about Ashley is because she was Ashley. So when you see her talking about herself, you're actually seeing her motivation to have Ashley's back because she's watching it happen to the next generation. And a lot of people aren't clocking that she's being triggered. She's been triggered by a real offense that is being hidden behind a family dysfunction.
So frustrating because the more you fight it and say, no, but they're like, oh, you're being a hater. You're jealous. Oh, there you go again.
This should go to being Tamar again the whole time. Tawanda, what happened to the 35K, babe?
Clock it.
Like, there was a scene where they're arguing where Tawanda kind of stumbles through an admission that she took $35,000 from her sister that never got paid back.
She alleged that it was a gift.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is, think about that. That was a gift, even when the phone, right? When she said, hey, I didn't know me and Tawana were on the same phone plan and I was paying for her phone until I went to go switch providers and saw that it was a family plan and I had been paying for her. And Tawana's reaction isn't to say it's untrue. It's to say, well, family takes care of family.
So Carlos interviewed Tawanda, and that's why he sort of inserted that. And we know that that's Tawanda's story. But like I said to you guys last week or the week before last, child, I don't even remember now. You can't have it both ways, Tawanda. If it was a gift, if Tamar gifted you that $35,000, then you can't list that $35,000 as part of your debt that you owe Tamar on your bankruptcy. So either you lied on your bankruptcy papers or you lying now. It can't be the same. Listen, you can't have it both ways. Either it was a gift or it's a debt. And you can't say that it's a debt on your bankruptcy because you want to try to get that written off as part of your bankruptcy. Because Tamar doesn't benefit from you putting it on her bankruptcy, putting it on your bankruptcy and getting that debt charged off. Tamar doesn't benefit from that. The only person that benefits from that is you. So if it was truly a gift, why is it on your bankruptcy paperwork? So you can't have it both ways. And then like she said, you never denied any of that. You said, well, family, that's what we do for each other. That's an uneven balance because I ain't trying to be mean, but we're going to have a conversation. You've never been in a position to do that for Tamar. So what do you mean that's what we do for each other? And then you're going to throw out there, well, did anybody bring up the fact that I sat by her bedside? I flew to New York when Vince was on his deathbed and I sat there I went for 2 weeks away from my kids. Maybe that you paying back that $35,000? Nobody brought up the fact that I was willing to carry Tamar's child for her. I offered to be a surrogate. Was that your way of paying back your $35,000? Because again, you can't do for Tamar what Tamar did for you financially. Okay, let's keep going.
You've been caught stealing allegedly twice in this one conversation, but we're all talking about Tamar getting deregulated. Because Tamar is emotionally deregulated, when you do dirt to her, you're expecting the spectacle of her to be a smokescreen for you to hide your dirty deeds.
The audience saw recently Claudia and Blue. Okay, Michelle is posting her music.
All right, so they go on to some other stuff, but I just thought that was probably one of the most, I don't know who this Blue woman is. I might need to go back and watch Carlos so I can go back to the introduction when he introduces her. But baby, when I say she broke that thing down, and I was like, that's what I've been trying to say. You know, when you're trying to say something, you hear somebody else say it so succinctly. I was like, that's what I've been trying to say. But when she said an imperfect victim, I think that was probably it for me. And we're not going to sit here and pretend like, okay, now let's talk about this episode. So let's talk about this episode. So the episode starts off with the whole Bridgerton thing. Can I say something? And I said this last week, and I'm going to just go on and say it because I feel like I tried to be real nice about it last week. Blue eccentric, she's great. Indy, does she have a YouTube or a podcast? Because baby, she got me. I'm all in. I just loved how she broke because the whole thing, she did a really good job throughout the whole thing. But I would love to hear just hear her talk on other issues and things. So let me know if she has a YouTube channel or a podcast. Oh, she does? Okay. I'm going to look it up. Remind me, y'all, before I get off here to look it up. I just want to, I got 30 minutes to get this out. I'm going to just go on and just be honest and just say this to y'all. It looked cheap. That whole Bridgerton affair, it looked cheap. Let me tell you something. Bridgerton is one of those themes that if you are going to do it, baby, you better do it right. That's not a theme you can throw together and hope that it comes together. No. If you are going to do it, baby, you must do it right. And to me, that Bridgerton theme, it looked thrown together and it looked cheap. The garments looked cheap. Matter of fact, the men looked better than the women. Sean and his outfit looked better than all of them women up in there. And it was almost as if they were making a caricature of Bridgerton instead of paying homage to Bridgerton, in my opinion. Trina's outfit, it looked like they were turning it into a comedy. You know what I'm saying? Which again brings me back around to they sped this whole process up so they could film it for the show. Because it just looked thrown together in last minute. It just looked cheap. Even the way it was filmed looked cheap. When y'all know when we do y'all, and I hate to compare it to Bravo, but hell, I could even compare this to A Love and Marriage. No, I can't. Nope, I was going to go too far. Heart and Hustle. Remember when they filmed Heart and Hustle, when they filmed the what's the baby girl's name? The PR, when she had her party like towards the end of the season, the way they filmed it, and they gave us snippets, and they gave us like a reel of the different things, people dancing, people talking, people moving around. You know what I'm saying? It just looked cheap. I'm sorry. I don't know any other way of saying it. I don't know a nicer way of saying it. It just looks cheap. And if you're going to do Bridgerton, you need to do Bridgerton. Now, let's talk about this nasty shit with Trina peeing outside. What the fuck was that? And then she's going to say, well, I was just trying to make Tawanda laugh because she was so stressed out. You don't know no other way, but y'all, that had to be the nastiest thing I have ever seen from grown-ass women on a reality show. And Tawanda gonna walk with her while she doing it. Now, let's be clear. Let's just go ahead and be clear. Right? Why I didn't understand why the groomsmen showed up either. It was supposed to be a bridal shower, but you know they doing this co-ed shit these days. Listen, I've been to more co-ed baby showers in the last probably 10 years than it's the thing that they do now. But let me say this now, as a woman, and I'm gonna speak for myself, and I think the men will agree too. We have all been in emergency situations where we have had to improvise. I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to tell you I have. I'd be a liar to sit here and say I ain't never had an emergency situation where I had to pull over or I had to stoop somewhere. And I remember when I was a kid, my mama would say, you got to go. All right, come on, we're going to stoop. And my mama would pull that tissue out her purse and we made it do what we had to do because life be lifing sometimes. But Trina, you made a conscious decision. You made a conscious decision, Trina. You knew the minute you decided not to put no drawers on that's what you were going to do. Because it sounded like it was part of your plan that you didn't plan to go inside of that house and try to get that dress off and go to the bathroom. Like that was your plan. That's nasty. It's not funny. And I didn't find it entertaining. It's nasty. And then you didn't wipe. I'm with Tony. How in the hell do you go to the bathroom and you don't need to wipe nothing? I don't care if you're landscaped or you're not landscaped. I don't understand. So anyway, that was nasty. The groomsmen showed up. They gave out gifts to all the women. Yeah. Cute. Moving right along. So then we see Tamar. Tamar's getting ready for her tour. That was a cute scene. Again, I like that Tamar said, listen, she never got a chance to really promote her sophomore album because that's when she got the blood clot. She had to cancel everything. And we all know that when it comes to albums and album promotion, once you lose the momentum, that is it. Calling All Lovers was actually a decent album. When it comes to the music, I'm actually a Tamar Braxton fan musically. I really am. I love her musically. Tamar can sing. Tamar can sing. Love and War still gets me. Listen, I still listen to Love and War like it's the first time I've heard it. And Calling All Lovers was actually a decent album. And I think it is a really good idea for her to highlight that album with this tour and try to bring people back around to it. You know what I'm saying? Where did Tawanda get the money from the mini Birkins? Child, he got them things off of the TikTok shop. You can buy those on the TikTok shop. She didn't say they were real. Those weren't real Birkins. Those were not real Hermes bags. Those were just orange gift bags. Did you see Hermes written anywhere on those bags? Did you see those Birkins come out of a orange box? You thought the second album was trash? Oh, wow. I thought it was decent. I don't think it was as good as the first album, but most sophomore albums aren't. I thought it was decent, but okay. Okay, girl. Thank you, AW33. I hate that YouTube has changed these names. Again, I didn't think it was as good as her first album, but I thought it was decent. But moving right along. But I still think it was a good idea. I still think it's a genius idea that she's highlighting that album to try to draw people. Hermes ain't suing. So listen, Chuck, I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if they suing or not, child. A lot of times, if they just change up, I mean, I don't know. Moving right along. Anyway, so we saw her doing her rehearsal for her tour. That was cool. Yay. Then we see Trina at work. Listen, I'm not going to down anybody for going to work and doing what she does. I think that's great. Looks like she's working at a real estate. She's doing real estate now. But here, and I know that this is me being nitpicky. Y'all gonna be like, dang, really, B, you just nitpicking. You right. This is me being nitpicky. Okay. Why y'all ain't been to her office before? And I know they tried to say, oh, Trina's new office to make it seem like that's why they ain't been there. That ain't Trina's new office. Trina been working in that damn office. Why y'all ain't been there before? Why that was y'all first time showing up at Trina's office when the cameras was there? See, if we're going to accuse Tamar of doing stuff for the cameras, we're going to call it out all the way around. Why you showed up with gifts and stuff like a housewoman and Miss Evelyn ain't been there? Why y'all ain't never been up there to visit Trina at work before? Neither here nor there, child. Neither here nor there. They basically tell Trina, look, girl, we know something is going on. What's been going on? And that's when Trina, she's been doing real estate for, not long, but a while, like a minute, but she's not ridiculously long. I think last season, I didn't watch last season, but it sounds like she started last season. Trina said, Trina only sold one house at that point. She said it on the previous episode, so it must be new. I knew she said that she just started doing it, but I didn't hear her say she had only sold one house. But okay, I could have missed it. I could have missed it. Sorry, y'all. I didn't want to forget to take my medicine before I left out of here. But neither here nor there. So that's when Trina opens up and lets them know that Vaughn has congestive heart failure, and that's kind of what's been on her mind. That's why she's been a little premeditated. Right, she was flipping. Right, that's what I thought. I thought she had been she had been flipping houses. Right. So before she got a real estate license, she was flipping houses. All right, I knew she was doing something else with houses before that. Okay. All right. We also find so they were like, oh, Trina, you could have told me. I understand why you didn't. Yada yada yada. We also find out that Tony is flying them down to Miami for her Miami Jazz in the Garden show, and then she's going to try to make it up to Tawanda for missing Tawanda's bridal shower and bachelorette trip to Tulum, whatever, right? Trina needs to put that bottle down instead of having one in her damn office. Ooh, my. So we get down to Miami, and all of a sudden, the Trina and Tamar fly to Miami, but Trina's the only one that makes it to Tony's concert. Trina says that Tawanda hit a brick wall and they got to the hotel and she was just exhausted. She just couldn't make it to Tony's concert. I don't a bit more believe that than the Man in the Moon. And if y'all believe it, that's good on y'all. But I don't a bit more believe that Tawanda was too tired to go to Tony's concert. I believe that Tawanda checked into that 5-star hotel suite that Tony probably put them in and decided that she was going to order her some room service and maybe go down to the spa. And she was going to kick her feet up on Tony Braxton's dime. And that was going to be her little slice of get back. That's what I believe. I believe she said, I done seen Tony Braxton perform 5,678 times and I don't need to see it again. I don't want to see it again. I don't care to see it again. And I'm going to stay in this nice hotel suite. And I'm going to kick my feet up with the remote. I'm going to order me some good old room service. And I'm going to enjoy my evening. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I would have gone to listen. It's the same damn concert. I don't know if I would have went out of my way to go to the damn show either, if I'm being honest about the matter. But neither here nor there. It looked like the show was really nice. Trina actually came on stage and sang with Tony a little bit. I think they did Breathe Again. And that was nice, okay? They cannot play Tony's music because Tony doesn't own her own music and can't give them permission to play her music. Either that or whatever the fee is for them to play Tony Braxton's music is too high for WeTV to pay. So that's why you ain't gonna hear Tony Braxton actually singing nothing. That's why you ain't gonna hear Tamar Braxton actually singing nothing unless they get permission for the music to play. And if Tamar and Tawanda don't own their own music, then WeTV production is going to have to pay whoever does own the music, whatever the copyright fee is to play the music. So that's why we're not going to hear Man Enough. We ain't going to hear Breathe Again. We ain't going to hear You Love Should Have Bought You Home. We ain't going to hear none of that shit. Two Love says, why do we hate Tawanda so much now? Why do we assume she's lying about everything now? All of them have been caught lying. I don't assume she's lying about everything, but I assume she's lying about that. I don't hate any of them. I don't know any of them to hate them. I don't hate none of them. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself. I don't hate none of them. But what I do know is, in my opinion, I feel like the veil has been lifted off of Tawanda Braxton. Now, that's for me. I can't speak for nobody else. Brianna Nicole says, we assume she's lying because you're right. They've all been caught lying, and Tawanda is no exception. Well, I mean, that's valid. That's valid. So while this is going, so then we have this split thing where we have Tamar talking to, I don't even know who this guy was she was talking to. But we have Tamar at the restaurant talking, and then we have the sisters down in Miami talking. They're supposed to go out on the yacht, but I knew when all that wind was blowing up Tawanda's dress and they couldn't even hardly get on that damn boat, that boat wasn't leaving out of that dock. I knew then. I said, that is going to be too choppy for them to go anywhere on that damn boat. So they ended up going to Mr. Child's for dinner and having the conversation about Tamar. While Tamar is out at lunch having the conversation about the sisters. And I'm just going to say this. I've been saying this for the last 3 weeks, and this episode is going to be no exception. They need to just go their own separate ways. They don't like each other. Hey, Kenneth Bull. They don't like each other. Yes, they are family. Yes, they are sisters. And I think if any of them were ever truly in a bad situation and really needed the other one, I think they would be there. But at the end of the day, they don't need to be in each other's day-to-day lives because they don't like each other. They're toxic for each other. Not all of them, because again, I told y'all, I think Tawanda and Trina are legitimately friends. I think they are really friends in real life. They talk on the phone. They share things with each other. I don't think that they're only around each other when they're filming. Now, are they best friends? I'm not going to say that they're best friends, but I think they do genuinely have a friendship. I think Tamar and Tony have a on again, off again, love-hate relationship. I think that when they get along, they get along. And when they don't, they don't. And I think they go through probably months of not speaking. And then one of them will pick up the phone and they might be on the phone for 2 hours. I think that Tony can compartmentalize Tamar in a way that the rest of them cannot. But I think that they need to go. I think they need to go their separate ways and deal with each other in a way that helps, that all of them can protect their peace. That is how I feel. And that's what Tamar said when she had this conversation. She said, listen, I have left my family alone. But they begged me. Basically, what I read was they begged her to come back and do this damn show. And against her better judgment, she agreed to do the show. And now she's right back in this situation. That's how I feel about it. I honestly feel like she had moved into a different space. She was over there doing her own thing with her own friends and her own situation. She was not dealing with her family until Tracy was dying. And then again, because when they need each other, she was there family-wise. And then they decided they wanted to reboot this show. And let's call a thing a thing. WeTV ain't picking up this show if Tony and Tamar ain't there. They're not going to do a show with just Trina and Tawanda. Because if they was going to do a show with just Trina and Tawanda, they would have done it. They've had the last 5 or 6 years to do a show with just Trina and Tawanda, if that's what they wanted. So I honestly feel like the reality is, I agree with Tamar. Let them stay over there and I'll stay over here, and we're just going to do what we do. We're going to be live our lives. And I do think that Tamar is hurt. Tamar broke down and she cried. I do think she's hurt. Then we had Tony, Tawanda, and Trina at Mr. Child's having dinner. And Tony was trying to play peacemaker. Well, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What about would you talk? I mean, would you accept the apology? And I'm with for the person that said I'm hating on Tawanda. I'm actually with Tawanda on this one. Tawanda said, I'm not doing that anymore. I've done it. I've had the conversations. I've told her what my boundaries are. I told her not to cross my boundaries. I've accepted her apologies. I'm done. And I agree with Tawanda. Be done. I agree. But here's what I'm going to say to all of y'all. That's from Tamar, Tony, Trina, and Tawanda. Remember how this feels. And don't let the lure of a paycheck, the lure of being on television again, be enough to make you forget what this feels like. Because y'all knew what it was the first time y'all did this damn show. Y'all knew what it was. Y'all know how y'all felt about Tamar. Y'all know about the arguments. Tawanda, this ain't the first time. Tony, You went on Ayala and said you wouldn't even be friends with these women if you wasn't related to them, and that you felt guilty because you felt like you had to take care of them. And I think low-key, you probably blame them for your money issues, even though a lot of that was your own mismanagement, but that ain't my business. That's old news. But I think low-key, you blame a lot of them for your money issues. But remember all of those things when somebody comes to y'all with another offer to say, hey, we want the sisters, but we're only going to do it if Tamar's involved. We're only going to do it if Tony agrees. Then what you need to say is, it's not worth it. This paycheck isn't worth my mental health. This paycheck isn't worth the peace that I have created for myself. This paycheck is not worth exposing our family once again to this. Remember that. Because see, I believe that all of y'all felt that way at the end of the Braxton family values, but you allowed the lore of whatever they were offering y'all to supersede this. Because if y'all said, well, we did it for Tracy because Tracy wanted us to do this, that was last season. Y'all could have done a one and done. Y'all could have made last season, which it was all about Tracy. Y'all could have done that last season, and y'all could have went on about y'all merry little way and kept it moving. Y'all came back for a season 2, and y'all didn't have Tracy to make your storyline. So now what's left? Back to the family drama. If you're done, Tawanda, you really got to be done. Don't go back asking for money and favors from Tamar if you really want to be. Exact. I agree. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. That is my whole point. If you really want to be done and you really are over this, then you have to really be done and really be over this. Don't let whatever they're offering you be enough to say, oh, well, I was done until ... I was done, but baby, they called me with an offer I could not refuse. You need to refuse the offer. You need to refuse the offer. If it really truly is going to make your mental health bad and put you in a bad space and take away your peace. Baby, let me tell you something. And this is on a much, 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 much smaller scale. But when I was leaving work on Friday, my assistant principal offered me an opportunity. And it was for some money. It was a little extra change. But I knew that little bit of extra change that they were offering me wasn't going to be worth what I was going to be giving up, which would have been more of my time. I'm good. They already got me doing tutoring. Child, I ain't told y'all about that, child. They already done convinced me to do tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I should still be able to do my tribe meetings and stuff like that. But baby, they done already, I said, y'all ain't going to get me doing another job. Y'all ain't going to get me to do a third job. Absolutely not. And again, that's on a much smaller scale, but I already knew that it was going to be something I was going to regret doing. And the money that they were offering me, yeah, we can all use a few extra coins on your paycheck. I mean, that goes without saying, but is it going to be worth, are those few extra coins going to be worth me the time that I was going to be giving up for that opportunity? Absolutely not. Now, 5 years ago, I probably would have done it and then been mad and then been cussing and fussing and complaining. But fast forward, I'm like, nah, I'm good. And he even said, well, you're going to get paid. I know. But I appreciate you thinking of me. But the answer is no. Baby, that's a word right there. Peace is expensive sometimes. Baby, that's a word. You ain't lying. Did y'all notice at the end of the show it flashes King Ladybug, which is Tawanda and her husband's brand name? What does that mean exactly? Oh, I don't know. I have to look that up. They falling out, not speaking, but they need to remember they lost a sister, and I don't think Tamar and Tracy was on speaking terms. They weren't. That's why Tamar didn't know Tracy was dying. Remember? That's why Tamar didn't know until, it got to a certain point. She didn't know. She didn't know Tracy had cancer. Sure didn't. Ladybug is the name of the YouTube page. Oh, I didn't even know she had a YouTube page. See, look at what I know. Now, I do want to say this part, and then we're going to move on. I have a couple of announcements to make before I get out of here. Indy, do me a favor. Remind me of what it was like, blue eccentric so I can look her up on YouTube as soon as I get off of here. Let me say this. And I know y'all gonna be like, because I forgot to say this when I said it. When they were going over the fight again, and Trina and Tawanda were talking about the fight, Tony said she didn't remember nothing. I ain't gonna say that Tony didn't remember nothing, but I do think there's a point where you black out. I do think there's a point in which you black out. And I think at a certain point, oh, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, boo. I do think at a certain point, Tony blacked out, right? Now, I do believe that Tony remembered Tamar throwing that drink. I do think she remembered Tamar throwing that drink. But even that, don't get me wrong, throwing a drink is bad. It's bad. But even then, Tawanda acted like, no, she threw a drink. You didn't see her throw it. She threw a whole drink on me. Girl, you had just said that she was sleeping around with Tamar's, with Tony's ex-boyfriends. I don't know. But here's what I am going to say about that fight. Trina, you did put your hands on Tamar first. Trina, you absolutely did put your hands on Tamar first. When they played the clip back and they showed it, you were breaking up the fight. You were getting in between Tamar and Tony, and you did push Tamar. Now, you pushed Tamar in a way in which you were trying to separate her and Tony, but you did push her. Now, excuse me. Now, you can argue that you weren't trying to push her to like assault her. You weren't trying to fight her. And you can argue that Tamar's response was extra. You can argue that Tamar's response was extra, but she did push her. To Love, I get it. You are anti-Tamar and you are pro everybody else. I get that. But if you go back and look at that clip, she did push Tamar. She absolutely did. You thought she touched her, but you didn't see a push. When she stood in between like this, and now when I say push, I don't mean but she did like this, and then she pushed Tamar back like that. Now, again, when you are already on 20 and you are in the midst of fighting and you are in that mindset of a fight, yeah, it's a push. Now, and she didn't push Tony the same way. You're absolutely correct, Chuck. She did not push Tony the same way she pushed Tamar. You are absolutely correct. Y'all go back and look at that clip again. I wish I could find it. If I could find it on my phone, I'll show y'all. Y'all go back and look at that clip again. She did push her. She put her hands on them to separate them. That's not the same. As somebody where's the doctor? You sound like you're an educator. Maybe you can back me up. The doctor that just dropped. I hate this YouTube. They changed y'all's names, child. Dr. Bryant, maybe if you still here, maybe you can back me up. Maybe you can back what I'm saying. Her body did move. Oh my God, let me find this clip. Please let me find this clip. That's before. I need when. Hold on, let me see. Is this it? Damn, this keeps cutting. I'm trying to find the one with. I can find the fight. I can't find when Trina. Hold on, let me put this in. Maybe if I type in Trina breaks up fight. What I was going to say was when you are, Lord, now they bring up, hold on, Trina Braxton. When you are in the middle of an argument, all of that is heightened. So y'all looking at it as somebody on the outside is saying, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. She didn't even touch her that bad. She didn't this, she didn't that. As somebody who works in a school and has broken up a million fights, I have had students hit me because when you're fighting, all you do, you're feeling, when I say hit me, you know what I'm saying. You are feeling the motion. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't always differentiate between, oh, she's just trying to break up the fight, or is she trying to jump in? That's all I'm saying. Let me see. Is this it right here? Damn it. This is already after the fact. I can't find the clip I'm looking for where it shows Trina actually get up and get in the middle. But if y'all go back and look, let me see, Trina. Let me see. Hold on, let me see. Is this it right here? Let me see. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Here it is right here. Y'all ready? Here it is right here. Let me move it back just a little bit. Did y'all see it? I know that's a short clip. Hold on. They showed a longer clip in this next episode, but you see Trina stood in between and Trina did push Tamar back. Look, she's touching Tamar. She's pushing Tamar. And when you see the longer clip, she does push Tamar back. Now, did she shove Tamar to the ground? No, she didn't. But Tamar said, look, she pushed me. She did. Now, was Tamar's response, do I think that her response equaled what Trina did? No. But when you're in the middle of a fight and you're in the middle of an argument and you're in the middle of a battle, your instincts kick in. And her thing was, you push me, I'm gonna get your back. So she pulled her hair and she kicked her. And she was wrong. I'm not saying Tamar was right. I'm not saying that Tamar was right. But what I am saying is, Trina said I didn't touch her. And that's not true. Trina, you said you didn't touch Tamar. That's not true. You did. You did touch her. And that's all I'm saying. Again, I'm not saying that Tamar was justified in pulling that woman's hair and kicking her. I said last week she was wrong for doing it. I said it last week she was wrong for doing it. But for you to now make it seem like, again, to me, it's going back to that gaslighting thing. Tamar said that I hit her first. I didn't touch her. You did. You absolutely did. You put your hands on that woman. Again, did you shove her to the ground? No. Did you punch her? No. But we're not going to sit here and act like Tamar is just pulling shit out the sky. She's not. That's all I'm saying. Now, again, I get it that she was trying to separate the two of them. But when you are already, and again, when you are already at the height, you already on 20. Thank you, Quake. She did push her. Anyway, moving right along. That was pretty much the episode. Now, really be you're tripping. Use common sense. I am using common sense. I think maybe you're not using common sense. How about that? I can throw it back at you. I don't see what I said was not using common sense. You said somebody had to stop that mess. They had security there. Again, I'm not saying that Tamar was right in her response. What I'm saying is, see, you're moving the goalposts. What you're saying to me is, well, somebody had to do it. That wasn't, I never said that Trina was wrong for doing it. Did anybody hear me say, Trina knows she was wrong for getting in the middle of that fight? Did anybody hear me say that? What I said was, Trina, you said you didn't put your hands on Tamar, and you did. See, y'all not going to move the goalposts on me and turn this into something it's not. Because I never said that. I never said that. What I said was, you said you didn't put your hands on her, and you did. That's what I said. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Brianna Nicole. That's all I said. Now, y'all can turn this into something else. Y'all can add to it. Y'all can put 20 on 10. But if you're going to say me using common sense, you're not using common sense, because you need to use your reading, your comprehension skills, and hear what I said instead of reacting to how you feel. How about that? Moving right along. So that was pretty much this week's episode, because I ain't gonna keep going back and forth with y'all. See, this way I get frustrated. Y'all can't separate how y'all feel about people from what's really happening and what I'm saying. Y'all feel how y'all feel about Tamar. Y'all feel how y'all feel about Tawanda. Y'all feel how y'all feel about Tony. And so now what y'all are doing is, now y'all are nitpicking my words to justify how y'all feel about somebody. And I'm not going down that road with y'all, because that's not what I do. I don't let my personal feelings about somebody interfere with what I'm seeing on the screen. That's it, and that's all. And y'all can feel how y'all feel, and that's fine. If y'all choose to not be here anymore, that's fine. I respect that. But that frustrates me when y'all do that. That frustrates me when y'all do that. You don't have to like Tamar to hear what I'm saying. You don't have to like Tamar. You don't even have to agree with what Tamar's response was, which I said her response was over the top. But anyway, moving right along. So that was the episode. A quick announcement. We will be having our, for those of you that are not on my other channel, my ReallyBTV channel, on Friday, Kenneth started something that has turned into a really, 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 really great thing. Over on my main channel. So if you're not subscribed to my ReallyBTV channel, go ahead and get subscribed and meet us over there at about 6 o'clock today. If you know of a family, let's switch gears, you guys. Let's switch gears. If you know, I'm not going to be late. I'm about to get out of here right now. If you know of a family that is in need of a Thanksgiving basket. If you know of a family that's in need of a Thanksgiving basket, we are doing a Thanksgiving basket giveaway. I will be giving you guys all of the details at 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, I will be giving you guys all of the details at 6 o'clock over on ReallyBTV. If you are not subscribed, get subscribed so you can come over there. If you know of a family, or if you are that person, if you've been affected by the shutdown, if you've been affected by the cuts to the SNAP funding, we are going to be gifting Thanksgiving dinners. If you want to donate, you can donate, be over there. And when we come live at 6 o'clock, I will have all of the details. I will have all of the particulars. I will answer any questions. So we will be over there. I'm literally getting off here right now. I just wanted to make that announcement. So meet me at 6 o'clock on ReallyBTV on the main channel, ReallyBTV. I may go a little bit. Well, no, I guess I'll leave it at 6 o'clock. And I'll see you guys there. Peace. Talk to y'all later.